Welcome to Stars Matter in the Until Saturday feed. I'm Mitch Light, joined by Ari Wasserman, National College football reporter for us. Ari, hopefully you can keep your composure today. You've had some very public meltdowns, I guess, over social media. That's very public. You can bring the fire today, but just.
Did you see the interview about the expanded playoff that I had with Yahoo's Dan Wetzel?
I started watching it live when it was on YouTube, and then I got distracted. I need to go back.
I talked to him about it for an hour very calmly. So
Okay.
I feel pretty good about, where we're at.
Okay. We can get into it later. I just want to be sure.
I just don't understand how I feel like so alone in this. Like I'm the only person that sees. Like it's like not even the frustration of it happening. It's the frustration of like if you see something and you're in a room with 50 other people and then you're the only person that sees something. Wouldn't that just be like frustrating just because of that alone?
Well, I'm going to transition to introducing Grace because I'm not a huge fan by any stretch. Grace, and welcome to the show, recruiting writer. Seems like this could be a good Taylor Swift song, maybe. Taylor writing a song about being all alone on an island,
Love
not
it.
understanding. Yeah, I think, I think there's some possibilities there.
I'm loving where your head is at, Mitch. This is the crossover that we're here for.
Yes. Okay. Good. Because I said this to my wife the other day. I like Taylor Swift as much as the next guy. It's probably not true as much as the next guy, but I think she's a very good writer. Like
she is.
Yeah. I mean, her songs make sense. You can hear it, whatever. So, okay.
You were listening to her the other day when you were on your run. You texted me.
I did. Yes, I know. Also joined by Manny Navarro. Manny covers Miami for us and recruiting writer. And I'm getting reports, Manny, that all you've been doing is watching game film of youth girls soccer, or actually co-ed soccer, trying to find an edge. Very big in the analytics for next fall. Is this true?
We have draft next Tuesday, so I've been doing my homework after winning 2 games. The pressure's on, man. I got to deliver this year. It's year 2. I got to produce results.
Yeah, and your Kentucky comparison might not be apt anymore because Mark Stoops is blowing past that ceiling there. So, if Stoops wins 11 games this year, parents are going to need more from you next year. You might that gift card.
Manny, you guys could do? You can expand the playoffs so everybody makes it, so there's no way that you lose.
It already is expanded, Ari. 4 out of the 5 teams make it. So
didn't you make it going like 2 and 3?
Yeah, 2 and 4.
Hey, 5 minutes in, and I think we've literally touched on all the hot topics. We got Taylor Swift, Ari playoff expansion, Manny soccer coaching.
Grace, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
I read Nicole's column about Taylor Swift. Or Swifties watching Monday Night Football or whatever. And I thought it was really, really good. And I think that everybody should go read that. The graph about the quiz thing that women go through about, sports and having some idiot in a bar ask you 9 questions about football to make sure I felt that because I've seen it. The thing I don't understand about the Taylor Swift thing, the Swifties, is I'm a fan of certain things. Okay, or people. If my favorite rap artist went to a cricket game, I would not watch a 3-hour cricket game just to see that person's presence in the press. Why are Taylor Swift fans so obsessed with Taylor Swift that they're willing to watch something they have no interest in just to see her cheer for 30 seconds?
Because they love her more than
I don't understand. I don't think that anybody loves their celebrity more than Taylor Swift fans love Taylor Swift. It's borderline weird to me.
You're right. That's why Taylor Swift fans are a different breed, and she's so online that you feel like even though you will never know her and she's in a completely different stratosphere, you still feel like she's your friend, and then you want to know who your friend's dating, especially when it's the most prolific tight end in the NFL.
So you watch the game to watch. It's not just for Travis.
I think they wanted to see Travis Kelce too. Taylor Swift fans called Taylor Swift mother. Everyone wanted to see who mother was dating. So
that is weird. Yeah,
it's getting weirder. Yeah,
this is the first time they can actually see her boyfriend for 3 straight hours, right? I mean, every other guy she dated.
She's so private. Yeah, that's the other part of it, Manny. That's a good point. And Travis Kelce's fun, and he's got his podcast, and it's a new world.
I think it's just strange for me because I legitimately don't care about anything about celebrities. I don't even know their names half the time. I could recognize actors and actresses that I like, but I don't even know their names. I don't understand why people buy magazines to read who a celebrity's dating.
Oh, I'm a target audience for that.
I don't like. I don't know. That's just been me. I never really understood what the big deal is with the Kardashians and all that stuff. It's like, okay, Kim's, got cool fashion and she's beautiful and she's like an icon or whatever. But it's like, I don't really care if you and your sister aren't getting along because somebody didn't do like arts and crafts they promised the other person would do last week. And I don't want to watch the 45-minute drama about you and your sister's fight any more than you care about my fight with my brother. Like, it doesn't even make
any.
any.
Ari, there are enough people that do want to watch that and will buy those magazines. So, I was going to say this.
Oh, is that phone? Is that the
my wife
Yeah,
told me
that's
today
that
to watch
national
out.
test.
There's going to be some national emergency test today at 1:20. I said, "Oh, that's great. It's right in the middle of our
I didn't
podcast."
get it. Does that mean
I didn't get anything.
I didn't either.
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Manny, you get it?
Yeah, I got it. Yep.
I guess they care about me.
Grace,
and
we're
Manny.
doomed.
Thanks, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you guys didn't make the cut. Sorry. All right, we're gonna move on, talk a little recruiting, but first, be sure to follow the podcast.
Wouldn't that be funny if there was like an actual reason, like Grace and I didn't make it? Like,
there'd be a reason you don't make it.
Oh, okay, I'm getting it now.
Okay, good. So yours is delayed. They wanted Manny and I to get a little head start. We're a little older.
Yeah,
we need some more time to get our stuff
here.
together.
Yeah.
All right. Be sure to follow the podcast on Apple or wherever you get your podcast. Drop us a 5-star review and leave a question with your review, and we will answer it on the show. Subscribe to Until Saturday on YouTube. Be sure to join us live every Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday on YouTube throughout the season as we preview and react to the weekend's games and hear from you, the listeners, on our Sunday Sound Off stream. Leave a voicemail or a text on the Until Saturday phone at 316-462-9852. Sign up for the Until Saturday newsletter where you'll get your daily fill of college football news right into your inbox. And got a good show today, I think. We had only one significant commitment this past week, still plenty to talk about. Going to take a look at what's going on in the state of Texas. Going to talk about Washington State, how they're recruiting. Grace talked to head coach Jake Dickert about that. For that story and another story this week, we will answer the question, who can be this year's TCU from a roster construction standpoint? We got good mailbag questions and I think a really good trivia question that you guys won't get because it's too comprehensive, but I think it was very interesting. Oh, Grace, you'll get it. I saw the doubt in your face there. You'll get it. Definitely. So first, let's talk about the...
Grace spends like 6 out of the 7 days a week like worrying about the trivia.
Sweating about this trivia. I always look so
Grace,
stupid.
all you have to do is... I don't know.
I know, but I always look so dumb.
Grace, our opinion of you will not change one bit whether or not you get the trivia or not.
Yeah, but you guys are my friends. These listeners are going to be like, this girl's an idiot. She can't ever get any of these questions.
The questions are hard.
Really hard.
They're more to just spur conversation about topics. So,
okay.
You will never
Mitch,
sound
the trivia
dumber
question
than
this
Ari
week
does.
should be, what's the most important position in football? Grace?
How many yards are there for a first down?
The quiz.
Answer the question.
Tight end.
All right.
Tight end. Is that what you said, Ari?
Yeah. Travis Kelce.
All right. So one commitment this past week. Terry Bussey, an athlete from Timpson, Texas, which in East Texas, going to Texas A&M, number 19 overall, the number 2 athlete. And like, we don't really break down film on this. And I know you guys go to camps and see some quarterbacks and have some thoughts. I don't know anything about Terry Bussey, but just reading about him, it's placed like, I think at a small level in Texas, but like plays running back, quarterback, defensive back. Like, I think this guy's just going to be one of those guys in college in 3 years. We're going to look at like this guy's can do it all, fun player. Bobby Petrino, if he's still there, will know how to use him. So really good get. We're going to talk more about the state of Texas later. But Ari, it's in not your backyard. You're a big city boy from Dallas, but
that's a pretty big backyard. It takes like 9 hours to drive out of my state.
Yeah. So, but in the ongoing battle for talent, Texas seemed to have it going for a while. Texas A&M, really good class. This seems to be a good get. I'm really looking forward to watching this guy play.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but like I blacked out 6 weeks ago. I felt like Texas A&M's class was like 17, and then you go look at the rankings right now, and they're number 3 all of a sudden.
And overall, also just average player rating too. It's not just
right. Like they got 3 5-star prospects, one from Texas, one from Alabama, one from Louisiana, and 5 top 100 players. That they are putting together a really nice class. Now, I'm looking here in the composite. There's a lot of players in the bottom half of their class that have weird rankings. So I don't know if there's something happening with the 247.
So let me interrupt you, because I looked specifically at this, 18 of the 22 guys are blue chippers, and they're all ranked in the top 600. So I don't know if something's going on with the site
Yeah,
right
I think
now,
there's an error happening with the site right now because a lot of people have like NA rankings.
Yeah, that's my point. Is like there's not that there's anything wrong with a guy ranked in the 800s, but like this class is got.
Well, there is something wrong with the guys that are ranked in the 800s. They're not as good as the guys who are ranked in the top 250. That's what's wrong with them. Yeah, it's okay.
So you're saying there's something wrong with the people that don't get the emergency warning first and don't get it after that?
I think okay. The emergency warning knocked my headphones off. So like you were talking for a minute, and I was like, God, I hope he doesn't say anything to me. And then I figured it out. But I don't know. Like it's just like we can just call it what it is. I know we don't want to be rude to teenagers, and it is what it is. But some players are better at football than others. You know, it's okay. I wasn't the best football player when I was 18. I knew it. It was okay to tell me.
What were you ranked? What would your national rank? What would your national rank be? Like 4,700 NA.
It'd be NA, yeah. It'd be like this guy should go work at Chase as a teller, and that's what I did.
Okay. Guess what? What was your rank at teller? What was your rank at Chase?
I was really good teller. I used to whip the back room, you know, when people would come through the drive-through. So I'd hit it from the front, people coming into the front, the business area, then I would get the drive-through going. I was a whiz kid.
Hustler. Wow. You guys have heard me say I've worked at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse twice. I was at college one summer, all city. I was a damn good busboy. So I enjoyed it.
You're very organized and efficient.
You weren't even like cool enough to be the server?
When I worked at Ruth's Chris, they only had female waitresses or female servers, and they were all college students, mostly from Middle Tennessee State. And then I found out a year later the manager got sued for sexual discrimination because they would not hire any male servers. They thought that
because the servers at restaurants like that make a shit ton of money,
and they thought that
the 18% tips on $250 bills every hour. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. So so that was a good job. I enjoyed it, but I was not.
So you were a victim of that, yeah.
Well, I was only there for like 2 months in the summer. There,
I didn't know if there was a class action lawsuit you could have gotten a part of.
Maybe I should look into that. It's probably 25 years ago.
It's my money, and I want it now.
Andy, you ever work at a restaurant?
No, I was. My job before I got into journalism was Little League umpire.
Ooh,
I did that for 3 years.
Did dads ever yell at you?
Were the parents insane?
Listen, I've had people come at me with bats in the middle of a game. A father literally came onto the field with a bat and tried to swing at me because of a blown call.
Was it a good call?
It was a good call, but he didn't think so.
Wait,
so
what happened? You can't just what? Who stopped him?
We had some parents get in the way, but yeah, I mean that's the kind of stuff that happens at Little League games. I mean, parents, for the most part, you get yelled at. That part of it is whatever, you can deal with it. But yeah, the violent part, that I've seen it happen to several umpires. It wasn't just me. There were other guys my age, 15, 16, 17 years old, where parents literally went on the field to either start a fight or to just try to intimidate the umpire. And so that's why I think I was prepared for the criticism of fans, right? Like if I could deal with parents swinging a bat at me, so what if you take a shot at me on Twitter?
Yeah, exactly. I umped when I was in high school, like Little League games, and one kid flipped me off once after I punched him out, call. But it was bad calls, low and outside. I think I was hungry and I wanted to get home. I was in high school, so I just punched him out. So I kind of deserved it.
He flipped you off?
Yeah, he flipped me off, turned around and flipped me off, and I threw him out of the game. It was great. Yeah.
You deserved it. Also, too, just admitted that you rigged the game. Thank you. Because you were hungry.
Did you have money in that game, Ari? Ari might have had money on that one.
It's like people like me that cringe to hear stuff like that. Like, call the game right, man. There is one umpire in Major League Baseball that I see on Instagram.
Yeah, Angel Hernandez.
Who just hate him, rings people up. His calls are terrible.
He's from South Florida, so maybe it's something with us down here.
I don't know what it was, but he's like, and the ball was like 9 feet. You have eyes? It wasn't even close to a strike.
All right, this thing is. Let me interrupt.
Why do they even have just put a microchip in the baseball and have a strike zone? It's not that hard.
Well, they do. They show the
and get rid of the umpire. There's no reason
they have in the minor leagues. And this is getting off the rails very early. Okay. We got a lot more recruiting to talk about, but we're going to take a break right now to hear from some of our sponsors.
Proper hydration isn't just if you're going to run a marathon or you're a superhuman athlete or you've got some big competition coming up. It's about daily maintenance. Whether you're traveling and jumping on flights like we are during the season, or standing on the sidelines of your kids' sports games, or going to college football games, whatever you're doing, you need hydration to be your best. It's essential. And Liquid IV is the #1 powered hydration brand in America. The one thing you're missing in your daily routine. You can use it in the morning, before you work out. You get in the afternoon, you get those afternoon sort of doldrums. Pep up with a little Liquid IV after a night out with friends, or, like you said, if you're on a flight and you need to make sure that your body is still operating. With just one stick, you can hydrate real life twice as fast as water. Plus, get essential vitamins and 3 times the electrolytes as leading sports drinks. I tried some recently, loved it. The lemon lime flavor was fantastic, and you just feel refreshed, and you're doing something good for your body. So real people, real flavor, real hydrating. Grab your Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use code Saturday at checkout. That's 20% off anything when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code Saturday at liquidiv.com.
All right. We're going to go to the mailbag later, but I'm going to bring one of the mailbag questions in because it'll lead into what I want to talk about. From Brad B. If Washington State and Oregon State join/merge with the Mountain West, how should they be able to recruit compared to their new conference? Will they be able to recruit well enough to consistently stay at the top of that league? We can all go around and specifically give our thoughts on that question, but I want to go over Washington State's recruiting because we talk about, it's just a very interesting dynamic, the fact that they are having I don't know if it's a breakthrough season. They've had great seasons in the past, but they're 5-0. They got to win over Wisconsin. They just beat Oregon State. They pounded Colorado State. This is a really good team. And they're also trying to recruit while it looks like they might not be a Power 5 program anymore. And Grace talked to Jake Dickert, head coach, the Cougars, doing a story on another topic, but also going to doing a story on kind of like what we've been talking about, how Washington State, what's their message right now. So let's hear from Jake Dickert right now, and then we'll talk about it.
Different is that we really got ahead on this class and these kids, and that was while the Pac-12 was still kind of together right this summer, and I think those kids committed for the right reasons. We made a decision to double down a little bit more locally and on the West Coast, and I think that is paying dividends. And then I think at the end of the day, you got to make a choice. What is it really about? Is it about level? Is it about coaching? Is it about development? Is it about trust? I think we've done a good job of really sharing a vision with our recruits on what they can be in the future if they still trust us, regardless of who or where we play. So I think that's an important message, and I think those kids have bought into it. I mean, it's definitely a challenging situation, and there's no rule book to it. So you just got to keep doing it your own way and be authentic to the process.
All right, good job for sure there, Grace. For sure, and right there, keep the conversation going.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Journalism 101
there.
there. So we're gonna. So the reason that prompted this is I noticed that Washington State got 2 commits this week. Wayshawn Parker, a running back from Sacramento, and Trey Davis, an athlete from Texas. So I was like, okay, what's going through a kid's mind when he recruits under this landscape? They've got 17 commits in this class, only 2 in the top 1,000. Their class is ranked number 57. Average player rating of 84.94. The interesting thing is this is right on par with what their classes have been over the last 4, 5, 6 years, basically in the 60s, maybe touch the 50s. Now, as Coach Dickert referenced there, like a lot of these classes, they've been recruiting this class for a year, and you're not going to see the ramifications or the effect for another year there. But I don't know. What do you guys think specifically? Answer the question. I'll go first. I think Washington State, clearly, if they're not in a quote unquote Power 5 conference, their message, they're not going to be able to recruit as well. But kind of what I just said, their classes aren't good anyway on paper. So I don't know how much of a knock that is. I still think they will be at the very top if it's a new Mountain West-ish conference. I still think Oregon State and Washington State, because they still have that name brand, would be at the top of the kind of food chain. Manny, why don't you start? What are your thoughts on where they fit?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think ultimately, they've kind of recruited at a Boise State, just to sort of compare them to somebody who's a group of 5 program, geographically close to them and basically, from in that area that would plug players from the same area. they've kind of recruited at that level anyway over the years. I'm looking up Boise State's ranking last year. Boise State had the 67th best class. So I think I don't think much is going to change other than the fact that they're probably not going to be able to go into, what used to be the Pac-12 country, like, California and that area, and pluck elite players out of there. Not that they ever really did, but in the case that they wanted to, right? Like Washington State's having a great year this year. Cam Ward's having a great year this year. This would probably be the kind of year you could sneak into California and maybe get, a top 10 quarterback out of the state or a top 5 quarterback out of the state, right? I think that's where they're going to get hurt. I think they're going to get hurt when it comes to being able to maybe go into some neighborhoods that they used to and convince kids to come play for them.
Yeah, Grace, what do you talked to Jake Dickert and going to be writing a story about this? What are your thoughts on kind of where they fit?
Yeah, I mean, so this week was the first time I'd ever talked to him. I was super impressed with him, first of all. And I think you look at this class and the fact that they've had 0 decommitments since all of this news came out and we are going through conference realignment tells me that this is a really strong recruiting staff and these kids are resonating with them. And we're going to write about this a little bit later, as you mentioned, Mitch, but I was talking to Trey Davis earlier this week. He's their top ranked commit in this class. And he's a Texas kid who had never been out of the Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma area, had never been on an airplane before, gets on a plane for the first time, goes to Washington State, loves it and commits. And so obviously they're in a lot of limbo, but I think this staff is resonating with kids. And then you look at this offense, and that was part of it for Trey as well. I mean, anytime you're putting up 530 yards of offense per game, you're going to have the attention of, I think you at least have a seat at the table.
Ari, you have thoughts? You have thoughts on everything?
Yeah. Did you look and see what they rank in the talent composite rankings? Not in recruiting, the team talent this year?
It's not high.
I know it's not, but did you know what?
No, what is it?
Is? Anybody want to guess?
I'd say 74.
76.
Wow.
Well, here's the deal. Like their best player, and we don't need to get in this discussion because that's kind of what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Or you've been writing about. Their best player, Cam Ward, was played at the FCS level, so he does not factor in.
Yeah,
so that's
true. Yes.
But
I think it still gives you a window.
Yeah.
Like just because it's not as foolproof, and maybe it'll end up that a team that ranks in the top 4 wins it again this year. It's still a pretty good indication of how you've recruited. Like to be out of the top 75 even, to be behind UTSA and FAU and Boise and Tulane and, a lot of other, USF, Memphis. There's a lot of teams that are ahead of it in the lower level of college football. Cincinnati, Houston, there's a lot of them. Tells me that they've done something as a program or program building that transcends how terrible they've recruited on paper. And if you're going to write a story, and Grace, I know that you are, about how this move impacts their recruiting efforts, you also have to acknowledge the fact that they're not recruiting a lot of people that are at the Power 5 level as a recruit. So like that, to me, it's like, can they recruit at a level that's high enough to stay at the top of the Mountain West? They already haven't at the Pac-12 level recruited well enough to be at the top of the Mountain West, right?
I think they're teams
they'd be toward the top, but they're not like, it's not like we're dropping Oregon into this conference. We're dropping a team that compares pretty well to the way that the people in the Mountain West have already recruited. Now, can Washington State continue to do whatever it is that it has done, even going back to the Mike Leach days where, this team has been in the top 10 and top 15 of the CFP rankings before. This isn't the first time they've been pretty good. I think actually pretty consistently in the last 10 years, they've kind of popped up and been interesting or fun teams to watch. So I don't know if this means that they're just automatically going to go dominate the Mountain West. They still have to keep their edge to them. And I don't think that their brand is going to take them to a place where they're just like suffocating out the rest of their conference in the rankings. Because if that were the case, it would be happening in the Pac-12. Still think they're going to be really good though for what they are because they know how to do it.
Yeah, I think what it does is, like right now, if they are with Boise State, let's say Fresno State, and I don't know, like a good American program, and these teams have all done a good job identifying someone, they have the edge that they're in the Power 5. And that's gonna be a big difference for a lot of kids. That's just not gonna be the case anymore. So they're gonna have to out-recruit the Fresnos of the world or whoever when they're on the same plane as them. So that's kind of the challenge. But now Dickert obviously has done a great job, and his name has come up at Michigan State. He's a Wisconsin guy, which makes it great. Like, he grew up in Wisconsin, family all Wisconsin. And last year, in his first year, they go to Wisconsin, Washington State, and wins. And then this year, Wisconsin goes out there and they win. So he swept Wisconsin. It's interesting too. In our Until Saturday newsletter that Jana Bardall does, there was a note about head coaching salaries. USA Today has that database that's made the runs this week, and Dickert's at $2.7 million, and only Gus Malzahn at UCF is lower among Power 5 coaches at 2.3. So as Washington State tries to hold on to him, if a Michigan State comes calling, clearly Washington State financially, and I don't know all the details, but they're not going to be as an advantageous spot as they've been because of the TV revenue. So I guess my question to you guys is, will Jake Dickert be the head coach at Washington State next year? Manny, yes or no?
I'd say no, just because I think somebody is going to come and take him, especially the type of season. I mean, with Cam Ward, they've got a chance to win 9-10 games this year, I think.
Grace, your new best friend, Jake Dickert, is he going to be the head coach there?
I don't know him well enough to know kind of how he feels, but I think if he is, I think it'll be because he chose to stay there and not because he had to stay there.
That's a nice answer.
Yeah, Grace is a nice person. Ari's going to come with the facts.
No, I think he's going to be fired. He stinks. No, I don't know.
Yeah,
he's having a good year.
We talked about this last week. Like, if Michigan State or whatever job comes open between like Sean Lewis and if Mike Elko is interested in moving on and Jake Dickert, there seems to be a lot of really quality coaches out there on the market.
Well, you know what? Here's what I wanted to make a nice segue to, because this is he said something on the call. And I love listening to other people's interviews because I get like excited and like I want give me those quotes. But he said something in passing that isn't even the story, but might be the exact reason why I would leave if I were him. But he said, we're challenged or whatever, and what we've decided to do in this year's this year's cycle is to stay close to home and stay local. So I went and I looked this up while you guys were talking. Washington State's class in 2024 has 17 commitments. Only 3 are in the state of Washington, and all 3 of them are more than a 5-hour drive away.
Local for them. Yeah.
So like local to them is recruiting Seattle, which is 4 hours and 45 minutes away. Like, if you look at the map of where Washington State is located, it's on the border of Utah. So
Idaho.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They're all the same over there.
How far is it from? They've got a bunch from Colorado, don't they? How far is that?
I don't know. Far. It's very far.
No, not a bunch. Sorry, I have dyslexia. They have 6 from California. They have 1 from Colorado.
And California is really, really far away as a drive. So, like, if being local is 5 hours away, that's like a really hard thing to maintain, and probably the exact reason why they're recruiting in the 70s all the time. And if I were a coach, that would really wear on me, and I would probably want to leave. So that, to me, it's like we make so much discussion about conference affiliation, and I'm going to write a story about SMU that Mitch assigned me this week about what it's going to be like to recruit in the ACC. It's like, well, they still get to be in Dallas, right. Like that. Like, if you're in freaking Idaho, like, what are you going to do? Like, what would they have to do ever? They could get invited to the SEC tomorrow. I don't think they're going to be recruiting top 30 classes. It's in the middle of nowhere.
You don't think they're going into IMG and getting like 10 kids a year?
They got a kid out of Florida. I'll tell you that. They got a kid out of
Gatlin
Florida.
Bear if he has any siblings. That's what
I don't know.
Yeah, there's like one great player out of Idaho, Gatlin Bear. Like, although Michigan's got some too. But they've gone to Michigan, Idaho, and Boise State there. So,
well,
it's a tough job.
California's been their main hub. This is from that series I did in March. Mitch, remember the
sure
every single Power 5? They're only getting 13% of their recruits from in-state since 2018. California, they've gotten 50 out of the 143 signees. I know the Manny spreadsheet.
Send it to me, man.
You don't know. You wouldn't know how to open it.
I'll figure that out. Like, that is like the guy's got like gold at the end of his fingertips there, and you update it every day.
Well, this is from 18 to 23, so this doesn't include the 24 class that they obviously haven't signed them yet. But
send it to me. You got to email me that.
I will. I'll send it to you.
Charge
Yeah.
it.
And I'm not going to
$10.
actually source where I got all the information or anything. I'm just going to take it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, let's transition to a recruiting area that Ari just mentioned. That actually there's tons of players, like because Ari mentioned in our show prep. Ari and I actually did a little show prep this week. Right, I did a lot of show prep. Ari got on the phone with me for 5 minutes and started barking.
Is that not good enough? Like, what do you want? Just explain to me what you want. If that's not good enough, you said all I want to do is talk to you on the phone for 10 minutes on Monday. I do it, and then you get on the show, and then you say, "What do you want? You want me to do it? I'll do the whole thing."
I didn't say
I'll cut you out of the whole show. I'll be the host of this thing. You think I can do it?
Well, I know you can. I've heard the other shows.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need a break.
Ari, you are so unique, Ari.
It was perfection. It was 7 minutes of great.
And I actually added an idea. That's an entire segment.
Yeah, and then I spent like 20 minutes researching it.
You hear those footsteps, Mitch? It's me coming for your fucking job.
Can you imagine if Ari was our editor? How many typos we would have? How many spelling errors?
I would love it. I'd send him stories at like midnight and be like, "Can get this posted in an hour, 10 minutes?
That's what
Wake
I do
up."
to him. I do that to him. Yeah.
All right. So the state of Texas. Okay, Ari, how many? I know Manny and Grace have the spreadsheet so they can see this, but how many blue chip? Without looking it up, Ari, how many blue chippers in the composite do you think are in the state of Texas this cycle?
33.
70. Go ask Jake Dickert if he wants to like coach in the state of Texas.
Holy crap!
Yes. How many do you think have committed, Ari?
44.
68.
Wow.
68 of 70 blue chippers in Texas have committed.
Holy hell. Well, I mean, I guess we are in October. I mean,
Yeah,
we're not as far away anymore.
26 different schools. The uncommitted are 5-star.
This is why I could never take your job, Mitch.
5-star.
You got the spreadsheets.
Cornerback Kobe Black and 4-star athlete Hunter Modden. Texas A&M leads the way with 9. Texas has 7. Oklahoma has 6. Texas Tech 5. LSU 5. The schools in the new Big 12 have 13. So only 13 of the 70 blue. All right, your eyes got big there. So,
I mean, this is like 4 stories all in one sentence.
Yeah. So only 13 of the 70 kids, blue chippers in the state of Texas, are going to schools that will be in the Big 12 next year. TCU and Texas Tech have 5. Houston, Kansas, and UCF have 1 each. So that was kind of interesting. Manny, I'm going to do this for Miami, or you can do it for Miami next week. It's not that. Do you think there'll be as much of a distribution? Like that's 26 kids for 26 schools for 70 blue chippers. Manny, do you think there'll be as big of a distribution there?
You mean as far as the Big 12 is concerned? Or are you talking about?
No, as far as it's just in the state of Florida, like the blue chip, different schools. Like how many?
Yeah. Well, I know for Florida, it's 57 blue chip players this cycle. And I think I counted this a day or two ago. I think 49 are committed. So there's only like 8 or whatever that still haven't picked a school. And it's pretty well spread out. I mean, as far as Florida State, Florida, and Miami, I think, they've got maybe 40% of those guys committed. So in terms of the big 3 in state, they're doing a good job. But I think distribution wise, you're still going to have SEC and Big 10 schools coming down here and getting a lot of those kids.
All right, what do you think the distribution in Idaho is?
I think it's 1 and 1. I just looked this up because it is interesting, and I don't know, like obviously the TV deals and all that stuff as it pertains to the way that the Pac-12 fell apart. It's all very complicated. Some people blame the 14 playoff for various reasons, but I went and looked. Texas is the main source of talent for the Big 12, or was, right?
Mm-hmm.
The entire conference used the state of Texas for their recruiting efforts as a main emphasis. The entire Pac-12 used the state of California. The state of California, and I'm going to put you back on skates because you always do this to me, but how many blue chip players do you think there are in the state of California in this cycle?
41.
34. It's a good guess, but it's half of Texas.
Right.
So in order for, and that doesn't include the other teams that go in and successfully recruit players out of Southern California that aren't in the Pac-12. So if California can, like, if Washington State is counting on California as their main, that's not breeding ground. What's the name? Their main hunting ground for their talent, and it is like getting less and less every year. I think that like we have to look this up. I don't know, but less players are playing football in California every year, and like the talent is dwindling there. Also might be part of the reason why like West Coast football has started to shrink up a little bit, and part of the reason why the Pac-12 ended up not existing. Maybe I'm 9 steps ahead of where I should be on that, but it's just an interesting thing when you look at the data and how much more and then of course Texas is a much bigger state, and there are more programs in and around Texas that rely on it too. But it's half. It's literally half of what Texas has.
Yeah,
and it's still a Power 5 conference that uses it extensively.
On that note, and this is like, I think it's related too. It's because, all the kids from California who come to play in the SEC, Southern California, it's, Alabama, and Bryce Young and all that. Like, and I might have said this on the pod once. I might have told you just on the phone, Ari. I was at a Vanderbilt baseball game this spring, and I was sitting next to the dad of a 26 kid from California who had committed to Vanderbilt. And he actually decommitted from Arizona, and he found out that Ari graduated from there and just quickly wanted to break loose there. But he was just like, all of the kids, he was mentioning all like the summer ball kids that his son plays with and like where they're committed. They were all in the East Coast or the Southeast. He's like, these kids, all the money in the SEC, all the facilities, they all want to play in the SEC. And I don't think it's as SEC centric in football as it is in baseball. But that just struck me that like there's some great programs in Southern California in college baseball, all those great programs.
SEC is the best baseball conference?
Yes, by far. It's more so in baseball than in football, actually. Like there's more depth.
Why?
For the reason because the weather and programs, fan bases, people care more.
Vanderbilt.
Well, I mean, it's every program.
That's
like
what
other
he's doing right now.
no, other than Missouri, and Missouri's had its moments.
Missouri's had good baseball teams.
What?
Arizona's had good baseball teams.
I know, very good. It's how he's the kid. The point was the money, the facilities, and the interest and all that stuff, and it just being a bigger deal in the SEC.
It just means more down there, yeah.
Yeah. So I found that interesting.
Are you saying that Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
Great movie line. So. Breaking news from our colleague Nicole Auerbach on Twitter that Grace just let us know. And people are going to roll their eyes at this, but this is a big deal. Grace is talking to, when she was up in Nashville at the recruiting staffer symposium, talking to people about the time it takes. And Ari, you wrote a feature about this, photo shoots. If I'm reading this quickly, Grace, correctly, it seems like photo shoots on unofficial visits are now going to be banned or outlawed. Is that correct?
I think so. Yes. Yes. I think that they could still do it on an official, but don't quote me on that. I need to read more about it. But a big win for the
talk about what you heard from all the staffers. Like these just take forever.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's like, it sounds like a nightmare. And I know that it's easy to be like, well, this is your guys' job and whatever, you're making all this money, but the manpower that goes into these things is ridiculous. And then I think from the staffer standpoint, the photo shoots always put the visit behind. And so you're trying to talk to them about the important stuff like scheme, coaching staff, academics, nutrition, all these things. And you can't get to them or you have to cut them short because of the photo shoots. So they're entertaining for us for sure. But I think that the entire recruiting industry probably just let out a very loud cheer hearing this news.
Ari, you wrote that story, didn't you? With who'd you write it with? Was it Antonio?
Antonio, yeah.
Yeah.
People are going to like the people of the recruiting staffers are just really happy about this. There's no, they hated them, and they hated them for 2 reasons. One, it's really hard to put together professional photo shoots and edit them and get them out as quickly as people wanted them. I mean, it's a lot of manpower and a lot of work, and that work is often put on the shoulders of staffers that aren't making all that much money and they're overworked and tired.
That's true. The people editing
resentful. The other thing too, it's like. The headline of the story I wrote with Antonio was a horse, a Rolls Royce, and 10 pairs of cleats. The growing importance of photo shoots. Like Oklahoma State has a freaking horse
right
in a stable. And like kids care more about like getting on the horse with the cowboy hat doing one of these. They do. They care about like how many draft picks have you had? Because it's such an Instagram, Twitter world. They want the pictures for the clout, and they want to feel like, the likes and the attention is going to help their recruitments. But, they ultimately make their decisions because of the right things. People want to get drafted and play at a good place. But recruits are just visiting schools they were never going to go to because they wanted to take a picture with the local turtle. And it was just like, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to set it up. Like Mel Tucker, who's no longer the head coach at Michigan State, was renting Rolls Royces for, you'd have like five Samson Okunlola is laying on the hood of a $275,000 car with his fucking legs open. Like, hey, look at me, I'm at Michigan State. And it's like, do you really need to rent a car and put it on your field? I think about how many hours of work and thought process and insurance and steps are finally just eradicated from this whole thing.
Well, they're still going to do it, but just not as many.
Yeah, but there's with everybody. And if you don't do it with somebody, then that person feels less important than the other people. And it's like a problem.
And what we heard too was from people, it wasn't just, okay, you got Ari Wasserman in, who's a top 100 kid. You're willing to maybe make the effort for him, but he's bringing his high school teammate who's no chance of getting an offer.
Or a busload of teammates.
Busload of teammates who want the photo shoot as well. So it's just that I can see from the look on Manny's face. He's like, you looking about photo shoots for your draft for your kids?
I am. I'm looking for. Is this gonna be? Maybe I can hire one of these photographers who's looking for work now.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there could be much more of them available.
Yes.
Mitch, whatever works to get this soccer team going, I'm going to do it.
Yes. So, obviously the team you cover is kind of a recruiting machine there, Manny. They have tons of visitors come through. I'm sure, I don't know. What do you agree with us? I mean, I think, like I said, I think some fans are going to roll their eyes and be like, oh, the NCAA, no fun, all this. But do you agree with us? It's just kind of BS.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're still going to be able to do it on official visits, right? Because I read unofficial.
Yes.
Official visits, yeah.
Right, official visits. So it's not like it's completely gone. I agree. I mean, I think ultimately, look, these guys are exhausted. Everybody who's working in these recruiting departments is freaking exhausted, and this is just one extra layer of BS that they got to deal with. And now getting rid of it. Believe me, there's nobody disappointed besides the photographers that they're not going to be able to cash in.
Yeah.
Are they? But aren't they just regular? I don't know. Maybe I should find out about this. But my understanding was the people editing and maybe even taking these were school employees too. That they were. I think it was just piled.
That were quitting because they couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
No, they've got staff. Everyone's got staff photographers. They've got recruiting graphics people only, recruiting photographers.
They're paying people $18,000 a year to stay up till 4 a.m. editing
That's the
photo
other thing.
shoots
the kids
of
are
players that are never going to get offered.
Right.
It's they're happy to do it for 5-star prospects because they want the players they actually want to come to school to have a good time. It's the millions of photo shoots they have to do with kids they don't even want. That's the problem.
Right. Another bit of legislation, and I thought this was permanent actually, but it was just a 1-year waiver. They've officially eliminated the annual limit on initial counters at 25, which took place last year. So teams can sign as many as they want. They still limited by that 85-man scholarship, but that's no surprise there. And that's the rule that when everyone we don't need to get into this, but how Deion Sanders revolutionized roster flipping, which he did in theory, but it was only partially because it's only been legal for a year or two. Teams couldn't do this because you couldn't bring in that many new players. Couple just news and notes. We don't really get into a lot of visits here. Just don't get into the minutia there, but a couple were interesting. Caleb Odom, the number 1 tight end in the nation, an Alabama commit, I believe is visiting Ole Miss this week. And then Ryan Wingo, here's the one that's intriguing, from St. Louis, 5-star wide receiver, who I believe has been considered a Texas lean for a long time, will be at Missouri this weekend. Obviously, Missouri has a ton of momentum. We've seen what Luther Burden III has done offensively. Just a true difference maker there, so that'll be interesting. Manny had a story this morning published on Wednesday morning on Dia Bell, the son of Raja Bell, former NBA player, well-traveled NBA player who's a top quarterback in the class of 2026. Maybe just kind of for the people who haven't read that yet, just kind of talk a little bit about Dia, and he's looking like I wouldn't say 5-star, but there's a chance he's a top 100 kid, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the 2026 class, they're still doing a whole lot of evaluating, and he just became the starter this year at Plantation American Heritage, which is now a football factory for NFL talent, putting the Patrick Surtains, the Sony Michels of the world into the NFL, and yeah, I mean he's 6'2", 190 pounds. He's awesome at basketball. By the way,
averaged like 23 a game as a
Yeah.
freshman. I played basketball, man.
Yeah, he just like walked onto the court after football season was over and had 2 40-point games, and averaged 20 a game for his basketball team. But no, I mean he's just another one of these incredible athletes in South Florida. We have so many sons of former professional stars that come out of this area that either played with the Dolphins or NBA players. Even Udonis Haslem, who played with the Heat, has sons that have. One, I think, is playing at Akron. He's got other ones that are playing baseball. So they're not necessarily playing their dad's sport, but Dia's just like another example of another South Florida-based guy who comes from really, really good athletic genes. And his mom was I think, Conference Player of the Year in the Sun Belt in soccer. His aunt, Raj's sister, was drafted in the WNBA. So he's one of these guys to watch the next couple of years.
I noticed that in Nashville because the Titans came in 99, 2000, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And about 10, 15 years later, as more sons of Titans, when they retired, they laid down their roots here. And there's actually a lot of Titans that are high school coaches here too. So these kids are they're getting Middle Tennessee, there's population boom, but there's more sons of former players and then just some really good coaching too. So that helps too. It's probably not as prevalent in South Florida there, but I noticed that. And as we talked about a few weeks ago, Jared Smith and Jacob Smith, twins they flipped from Michigan to Kentucky. Austin Meek got in touch with one of them recently and has a story coming in the next few days, some interesting stuff about why they flipped. So look out for that story, Kentucky fans and Michigan fans. Ari, are you smirking? You have anything to say? Are you giggling?
I'm just giggling over there, just watching you figure out how to host. It's nice.
I've been doing it for 3 years, buddy.
I know, and you're starting to get good at it. It took a while, but we got there.
I really, all I do is I seek your approval. That's all I'm looking for. So
I'm just like laughing at how all the recruiting staffers on the internet are behaving now that they don't have to do this anymore, and it's quite funny to me.
One more note. Your mailbag question. I was actually.
It'd be like if like I got a call that said you don't have to talk to Mitch at work anymore. Think about the burden.
No, I think it'd be like if you got a call and they were like, you don't have to. Well, I don't have a good example.
You don't have to transcribe anymore, or you don't have to. You don't have to go to all hands meetings anymore.
Or you don't have to write anymore. Oh, you don't write anyway. So yeah,
I don't write anyway.
Yeah.
Have you looked at how much I've written? It seems like you. It certainly hasn't maybe been as much as last year, but like I'm like tripling up my monthly requirement.
Because you're involved in all these little things like a gambling thing here or there.
Yeah, so I'm just not good.
I didn't say that, Ari. If you can look yourself in the mirror and you're satisfied with your work, that's all you need. You just got to look at the man in the mirror. That's all that's important.
Satisfied with my work.
Okay, good. So I was bouncing around for some trivia question, and this one's interesting to me. The class of 2019 composite quarterbacks, the top 5: Spencer Rattler, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Ryan Helinski, and Graham Mertz. All these guys were like fifth-year guys. The top 5 guys, none of them are in the NFL, and they've all transferred at least once, and 4 of the 5 are starting at Power 5 teams. I guess that's just the climate we live in. But again, Rattler, Nix, Daniels, Helinski, Mertz. Whenever we see a signing class of the top 5 quarterbacks, your first thought is, okay, 3 of them are going to be in the NFL after 3 years because they're awesome. But it just doesn't work that way usually. And Grace, Sam Howell is the only one in that entire class that's taken a snap in the NFL.
My guy. I'm not sure how well it's going for him right now,
He's
but
decent. He's decent.
He's taking some snaps. Yes.
Yeah. Were you a Sam Howell fan?
I was. Yeah. I thought he was committed to Florida State initially, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'll look back later and look at Drake May as probably the biggest recruit of Mac Brown's career in the second go round, but I thought Sam sort of laid that foundation, which was cool. And he was really fun to watch.
So a couple of mailbag questions here. This one was interesting because I have a kind of different spin on it. Nicholas H. said, is there anything preventing a collective from covering a player's educational expenses in order to free up more scholarships? For example, Dylan Raiola likely has a great NIL deal. What's to stop UGA from making him a preferred walk-on, then increasing his NIL money to cover tuition and living expenses? Are there prohibitions against that? Does it cost the extra whatever? What's preventing that?
And it's happening already.
Yeah, like it is happening. And I don't know. I should know this. I don't think there is really is there anything about officially being on scholarship where anything you get that you don't? I don't. Maybe some schools, maybe some private schools. I don't know the difference, but there could be a few semantics where if you're on academic aid versus, athletic aid versus, just you're paying your own way. I don't know. I know. I think in the NCAA, I know this is a baseball thing. If you did not receive a scholarship, athletic scholarship, you could transfer without sitting out. So like some baseball players who were on like full financial aid or something, they could transfer and didn't have to sit out before that rule.
Yeah.
But my question to you guys is, how many more players do teams want? Like, I'm sure it's helping them, but like if you ask Kirby Smart, like, do you want 10 more guys on quote unquote scholarship? I guess he would say yes, because teams have 100 guys on with walk-ons and stuff. So the more guys you have that are better is good. But it's just at a certain point,
here's the thing:
you want so many good players.
It's not even about how many players Kirby wants. There's this like fear that people are like, well, scholarship limit doesn't exist anymore because now Georgia can just go pay 170 players to go be on their team. They want to play,
right?
It's not just like you're going to go get 5 to 10 extra top 100 players a year that just can't play, and stack them on your team. Like, everybody wants reps in practice, and there's only so much further that you can go in terms of how many players you could reasonably have on your team. So you have 88 or 89 players, and 4 of those are NIL compensated athletes that can, pay their tuition or whatever, however it's been being done. That's fine. But like, it's not going to be some sort of thing where there's 20, 30 extra guys on a team, because there's only one football and there's only one starting unit and people want to play.
Right. And here's something, just kind of thinking this through. I'm not going to use Raiola as an example. It comes from, a lot of money in that family, I believe, former NFL players. But like, if you're a kid and the school's like, okay, we can put together this package of $60,000 in NIL that will cover all of your expenses and pay for your tuition. Like, you're like, that's great, but I want the money. Like, put me on scholarship and I'll take that if there's $60,000 out there to get me to play football at school X in quote unquote NIL, like, I want it. Don't use it to pay. Don't give it to me to pay my tuition. So I don't know if that factors in. But one thing I think it helps is like, if you are up against it and you are at the scholarship limit and there's a late transfer that comes open and you need that one scholarship to free up, I think that could be the case. But Grace, isn't that kind of, I know Max talked to some people in Nashville. Didn't he kind of say that that's kind of been going on a little bit?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, and you got to think like, if you can find a workaround or a loophole, like I give it to college recruiters. They're creative, but I don't know. It seems kind of sticky and messy, but I don't, and I should know this. We should know this. I don't know that there's like explicit legislation that would stop it.
Yeah. I mean, I would think there's more security if you're on full scholarship as far as getting like cut, not you're just like told to move on. I don't know. We can.
I'd also want to be like, I would wonder, even if I know I'm a blue chip recruit, like, how are you making the decisions on who like gets the scholarship versus not? Like, my pride would also be sort of wrapped up in this. Like, wait a minute, like, you want to use
also, if you get paid more to cover your expenses, you're also being taxed more.
Yeah, and there's a lot of ramifications. So that's why I think it's more like in a measure where they need to find a couple. They're full and they need one or two to add 1 or 2 more players. Don't want to spend a lot of time on this because the trivia question might take up some time here. But on Ari's mailbag, kind of let it off with.
Grace, are you ready?
We've been wondering who is this year's TCU. What if it's Georgia, a very good team with warts but mentally tough in the DNA to win close games? Patrick H said, Ari, I thought you were very nice in basically telling Patrick that don't insult our intelligence by saying that Georgia's like TCU at all.
I think Patrick H is a Georgia fan who wanted to like look at how poorly his team has been playing and make it admirable. And it's like, that's not what I see. I see it just a team that's not playing very well who just wins because they can't physically lose to who they're playing to.
Once a quick thought here. This morning I was editing Seth Emerson's Mailbag, our Georgia beat writer. Just a fascinating study in the psychology of being a fan. If you read that email, the Mailbag, like 6 or 7 questions, you would think that Georgia's probably 1-3 and they've like lost. I mean, just the fans are just losing it. Why is our offensive line so bad? Our linebackers stink this year because they're not playing behind that dominant defensive line. Our running backs, we're getting no production. What's the deal with all these guys? And it's just like, dude, you're 4-0, you're 5-0.
I mean, you've had an Ohio State writer under you for years. This shouldn't be new to you. Yeah.
Right. That's so.
That was my entire life for a decade.
Yeah. So Ari, I thought it was a good answer. You said basically you went to the convenient team composite and you compared, and your answer was Washington. They're not built exactly the same, but I thought that was a pretty good answer.
Well, there's the thing. It's like Georgia can't beat last year's TCU. If you watched the game, Georgia can't beat TCU for 20 years, no matter what. Like, so the only thing that we have data-wise to compare it was a team that was in 5 or 6 slots of where TCU was last year. They both had transfer quarterbacks come in that, were Heisman. Were discussed in the Heisman race at some point. They have receivers that were top 100 players or fringe top 100 players. I think Washington's receivers are better, but Quentin Johnston's on the Chargers right now. And they plugged some pieces in the transfer portal at other positions to become very good. Because Washington, if you've listened to the show at all the last 2 years, you've heard me say they've left a lot of meat on the bone when it comes to acquiring their talent. But Mitch, I'm starting to regret whether or not Washington was the right choice, because here's the difference between those two. It's like people thought Washington was going to be very good this year. Like you were one of the people. You're like, Washington's going to be awesome. And I kind of was like, okay, dude. And I was wrong. They are. But like, what if Mizzou is like 10-0?
Okay, let me get
Mizzou.
Washington is a good answer from a roster construction standpoint. It might not be a good
come out of nowhere
expectation standpoint.
Right. It's just something to think about, because it's like if Washington wins the Pac-12, that wouldn't be as. I mean, hell, TCU didn't even win their conference. So
right. Washington won 10 games last year.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's the same, but I feel like I didn't mean TCU to win your conference or make the playoff. It's like to advance to the national championship game as a team that ranks outside of the top 30 in the talent composite. Like that is how I looked at it. But it also should be a team that just comes out of nowhere.
Maybe the Miami Hurricanes, another 5-7 team, Manny.
I don't think it's going to be the Miami Hurricanes. I was going to go with Kentucky, just because they've sort of been looked at as the one of the bottom dwellers in the SEC for so long, right? There's no way they could beat Georgia. There's no way they're going to beat an Alabama. Well, they're 5-0 right now, and to me, they're kind of a similar team to TCU in the sense where transfer quarterback, right? Same thing. Picked up some transfers in this last cycle.
No, TCU didn't have a transfer quarterback. Duggan was a TCU guy.
Well, didn't he transfer there originally though?
No.
I thought he signed with somewhere else. Okay.
I'm almost positive he was
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong then. But they did have some transfers. Obviously, I think TCU had 16 transfers or something on their way to the championship last year, and their running back is a grad transfer who made our Heisman straw poll. So, I mean, the point is, nobody really had much expectations for Kentucky this year. Georgia seems down, right? Alabama seems down. Maybe this is the year they surprise everybody and win the SEC.
Yeah. Not a bad answer there. Okay. Ready for the trivia? Ari, you seem distracted.
I'm a little bit distracted because people actually think that Urban Meyer is going to be the next coach at Michigan State. And it's like, I can't fathom how you could think that. But I'm ready for the trivia question, and I can't wait to watch Grace's face as you read the question.
Firing off some tweets, Ari?
Yeah. No, Grace is multitasking. Grace promoted Ari's Photoshop story on social media.
I did. I was multitasking. I zoned out for a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I'm sorry.
No, Grace is just the model employee.
Well, Grace can do that without looking distracted. What? She's not down staring at her phone like you. So, footsteps. Okay. There are 18 class of 2018 quarterback signees still in college as 6th-year seniors. 15 have started at least one game this year. Name them.
18 2018 quarterbacks who are now 6-year seniors.
Yes. 15 have started at least one game this year. I was just floored that how many 6th-year seniors there were.
Sam Hartman, one of them.
Yes, Sam Hartman, number 61 in the class of 2018.
JT Daniels has to be
I was
one
about
of
to
them.
say
JT Daniels, number 3 in the class of 2018 with the Rice Owls.
Phil Jerkovich.
Yes, number 10 at Pitt, also on his third.
Yeah, Schrader.
Fun fact about Phil
Schrader.
Jerkovich.
Who, what was that?
Garrett Schrader.
I believe Schrader's a 5th-year guy. If he's not,
Okay.
then I've screwed the question again.
Emory Jones.
Yes. Someone look up Garrett Schrader while I'm doing this.
All right, I'm gonna look him up.
Emory
Tyler
Jones,
Shuck.
number 11. Yes, Tyler Shuck, number 15, got hurt. Are you cheating, Ari?
Yeah, I'm cheating. You always accuse me of cheating.
I'm just you get so defensive.
You don't ask anybody else if they're cheating.
Right. Because
Schrader was the class of what? 2019.
okay, good.
Yeah,
So
but
he's not-
no.
Spencer Sanders was in 2018, wasn't he?
yes, he was, but he hasn't started a game this year. He's on the
Oh, it has to be this year. Okay.
Where
well,
was Spencer? What class is Spencer Rattler? He was later, right?
18.
19.
Oh,
I just
sorry.
mentioned him in the
I thought you
previous
meant
part.
what
Yeah.
I just said.
What about Plummer at Louisville?
I think he's 5th year, but hold on.
Okay, sorry. We're like, we're
No, I
thinking
mean,
too much.
I don't want to get these wrong. So
I'm just thinking
Yeah.
of seniors that are like old.
Penix.
yes,
Yeah, Penix is one.
Good
for
job,
sure.
Grace. Look, you're killing it. Are you cheating?
No.
Plummer's 18 according
yes.
to his.
I will add him to the
247.
list. So now it's 16.
Oh, so
Okay.
you got the question wrong. Shocker. Okay. What about Joe Milton?
Yes, number 18.
Ooh.
How many do we have left?
One.
Oh, you know who's like 93 years old? Wisconsin's quarterback. What's his
Yes,
name?
Tanner Mordecai. Okay, I'm removing Cam Rising.
Wait,
I
how old
originally
is
had
Graham
Rising, but
Mertz?
Rising has not started a game. I
Yeah,
called him.
what year was Graham Mertz?
Mertz is. I just mentioned Mertz in the previous point about
shit.
2019 quarterback.
Did we name Jordan Travis?
No, Jordan Travis, number 67.
Okay.
5 more to go. Cam Rising was
Evan
on the list, but
Leary's
he did
one.
not start. What?
Devin Leary.
Yes, number 34.
Yep.
You guys
That's
are
a
doing
good
very
one.
well.
Well, we're just thinking about all the older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who's not? You know who's one that
Who?
old? I was just thinking it's actually kind of mean.
Brett,
Spencer Petras, but he's at Iowa. He's no longer on the team.
No, he's no longer there.
Brennan Armstrong.
Yes.
Oh, that's
He
a
got
good
benched,
one.
by the way.
Good
Did you guys see
job.
that? He got benched.
Yeah,
He
He
did?
did?
Yes.
he did this week.
For
yeah.
MJ Morris?
Not exactly what he probably thought his 6th year was going to be
Are
about.
they gonna let MJ Morris play?
Yep.
They should. I was surprised he didn't transfer.
You said Cameron Rising's off the list because he
Yeah,
hasn't
because he hasn't started.
yet?
He's one of them, but he hasn't started this year. So, and then there's one who is a running back on his current team, and he's the only one on this list who didn't transfer. It's DeCarian Joyner, the running back at South Carolina.
Oh, South Carolina.
So we got 3 more to go.
I think I'm tapped out, guys. I don't know.
Okay,
The quarterback Phil Djokovic, wasn't he a 6 year? Isn't he a 6-year guy?
I said him already.
yes.
You did, okay. I'm just going through the
Bruce
ACC in my
McCann
I
said
said
head.
Bo
McNamara?
Nix. No, Bo Nix is 5th year. McNamara's 5th year. One of them. You want me to just give them to you?
No.
Okay. Hints. You want some hints?
Yeah.
All of them. All 3 are on their 3rd school at least.
Oh wow.
One of them.
Who's an older guy in their 3rd school?
One of them, I believe, got hurt early this year. Plays near Manny.
Oh, the FAU quarterback.
Yes.
Oh.
What's his name? I'm forgetting his name now.
Casey Thompson.
There you go. Yep.
Okay, there's one of them I knew of, and then one of them I forgot existed, and I'm shocked that he's still. I think he got benched. He started a game this year. I know that. There's one you will not get. One of them you'll hear and be like, okay, maybe I should have got that. There's one you will not get.
Who started a game this year?
One's a Power 5 guy. One's a G5 guy right now.
Yeah, I'm done. I don't have anything.
Which one
JT
got
Strout.
benched?
I don't even know who that is.
Former
Which-
signed with Tennessee, transferred to Colorado. He started at Arkansas State this year. And then this guy started at Cincinnati, transferred to Eastern Michigan, transferred to Cincinnati, and now transferred to his new school, Northwestern. Ben Bryant.
There you go. Hey, we did pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah.
And that was the only one who got accused of cheating.
Ari, it just makes you stronger. All these haters.
It hurts my feelings.
Coming at you. Good job, though. That was
Just one hater.
Good group effort. Good way to team up there. All right.
Thank you for listening to Stars Matter. We will catch you next week.